I'm a fan of the Mission Impossible franchise. I have not seen the TV show. Actually, I have seen the TV show, but it was only momentarily. I didn't watch an entire episode. I don't remember, but I thought it was quite intriguing. Then we fast forward to Tom Cruise's first outing in Mission Impossible as Ethan Hunt, and I enjoyed the first Mission Impossible movie directed by Brian De Palma because I thought the style of the directing in the movie was unique, and the story was engaging, and the action sequences, the ending action sequence is memorable, and the one scene where they break into a building, it was a good movie. Then you have Mission Impossible 2, which a lot of people hate, and I guess I'm one of them, but then I'm thinking I'm just jumping on the bandwagon. But then when I think about it, I remember I saw it when I was a kid and I thought it was quite fun but forgettable. So I don't know how I'd feel about it if I watch it now. I haven't seen that movie in a long time. Then you have Mission Impossible 3, and this movie was directed by J.J. Abrams, and I really don't care for any of his movies. I don't know why. They just don't appeal to me. And I watched Mission Impossible 3 not too long ago, and I felt the same way about it as the first time I saw it, and it's a rather boring movie. There are some fun action sequences in there that are quite thrilling, but overall I just don't care about that movie. But it's better than Mission Impossible 2, I guess, but it's not better than the first one. Then you have this series Then you have the movie, which took Mission Impossible in a new direction, like what Fast 5 did for the Fast and Furious franchise, which, comparing Mission Impossible to Fast and Furious, is not really all that off by this point. Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol revitalized the Mission Impossible franchise and took it out of a dull, boring state. Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol was fun, it was stylish, and it was ridiculous, but it was just all fun. And at the time when I first saw it in IMAX, I was engaged in the story. The movie was good. I enjoyed it. I haven't seen it in a long time, but from what I remember, I liked it. Then they upped the ante with Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, directed by Christopher McQuarrie, and I thought Rogue Nation was a thrilling, fun movie. Is it as good, or if not better, than Ghost Protocol? I think it's right up there with Ghost Protocol, maybe a slight bit better, or they may be the same. I don't know. I haven't watched Rogue Nation in a while, or Ghost Protocol, but I enjoyed Rogue Nation when I saw it in the theater because I like Ghost Protocol. I watch Rogue Nation, and I like them both. They revitalized the Mission Impossible franchise. I'm like, the movies in this franchise can only go up from here. So we are here at the Great Clips IMAX Theater, and we are going to see Mission Impossible Fallout. And what are my expectations for Mission Impossible Fallout? Well, I just want great action sequences, great stunt choreography. I mean, Tom Cruise is a fantastic stunt performer. He does, I think, most of all of his own stunts. You know, so he's kind of like the new Jackie Chan, I guess. And I just want an intriguing story, something that keeps me engaged. I mean, as ridiculous as the story or plot can be, as long as it keeps me intrigued and engaged and invested in the characters and the situations that they get in, I'm fine, no matter how ridiculous it is, as long as I'm invested in the characters and the story and their situations. But yeah, that's all I want, really. You know, just have fun, make the movie entertaining. And Christopher McQuarrie did Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. He did fantastic with that movie. All of the stuff I just mentioned that I want with this movie, he did with that. And hopefully he just does that, but times 10, and the trailers make it seem so. So let's get ready for Mission Impossible Fallout. Hello everyone, my name is Don, the movie reviewer, and today we're going to be reviewing Mission Impossible Fallout. Now, I'm going to be very brief about this movie and be as straightforward as possible.
Same old Ethan.
I find it best not to look.
Now we have Mission Impossible Fallout, and if you want to see a movie where you can watch Tom Cruise nearly kill himself, then Mission Impossible Fallout is the movie for you. If you want to see a maximum overdrive action movie where the action sequences are the main spectacle, well then look no further than Mission Impossible Fallout. If you want to see a movie where you have characters going through situations that have consequences, don't watch Mission Impossible Fallout. If you think that a movie needs to have something that engages you besides big, grand action set pieces, then Mission Impossible Fallout is not the movie for you. I didn't like Mission Impossible Fallout all that much. I thought that the action set pieces in the movie were great, especially towards the end. The helicopter sequence was the best. Tom Cruise is a fantastic actor, and I commend him for risking his life to give the audience their money's worth. And he definitely puts his heart and soul and commitment 100% in the character and in his franchise, in his movie overall. But in this movie, you have just sequences that mean nothing and they're boring, and it just goes on to this action sequences where I'm watching the screen and I say to myself, okay, that's fun, my adrenaline's pumping, but then once it's over, my mind is numb and I'm like, what are we doing now? I don't care, it's boring. Then we get back to another action scene and I'm like, okay, my adrenaline's pumping, but then I'm really not invested in the story or these characters, so the action scene's kind of boring. Some sequences go on too long. I'm impressed that Tom Cruise is actually doing these things, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm really not invested in the story or this action scene. Like I said, the ending action scene is the best action scene, but then the sequences, especially at the end, there's certain action scenes in here that reminded me of other action movies that I think kind of did it better.
now, you piece of shit!
There are no consequences in this movie. You have, like, for instance, you have the hammer versus the scalpel. Now, the hammer is just a big, dumb goofus, and he ruins certain missions, but then it doesn't mean anything because, you know, something happens where the situation gets messed up. How are they going to fix it? No problem. We just, you know, have a little sequence here that is meant for laughs or whatever, or like, ooh, an intense moment. What are they going to do? They easily get out of this situation. The story goes along as planned. Everything just continuously happens with no real consequences taking place. I mean, maybe there's one, but other than that, it's just like we go on, and there are no consequences. Nothing happens to these characters except maybe for one person. And that's pretty much it. I mean, this is a Mission Impossible movie. If you've seen Rogue Nation, if you've seen Ghost Protocol, you know exactly where this is going to go. So there's really nothing new here. And if I am just now realizing this, maybe I was blind to the fact that this exact thing that I saw in this movie was happening in the previous Mission Impossible movies. Maybe I was blind to that fact. And now I'm like, I need to go back and watch those movies, because if I feel this way about this movie, what if I go back and watch those and feel the same way, and I've just been blind to it and I've missed it all this time? I've just been liking stupid movies. There is a scene in Mission Impossible Fallout where you have Hammer and Scalpel in your action sequence, which starts off intense, but then nothing happens. I mean, you know, Tom Cruise saves his life in an intense moment, but then they hit their target perfectly. Henry Cavill wakes up like nothing happened, and I'm just like, well, that was an intense sequence, but there was no real payoff, and there was no consequence for him screwing it up. I mean, you saved his life in the nick of time. He landed right on the mark, being unconscious, and nothing really, the sequence means nothing. It's just like, ooh, look at this scene, it's good, but it goes nowhere. It means nothing. Then we meet some girl who I don't even care about. I mean, she's beautiful, and then it's like, they get together. I don't care what she's doing here. She means nothing. Then you have the girl from the previous movie who comes in here, and, you know, she has some deal, and I don't really care. Then you got Angela Bassett in here, who's like a higher form of government. She does nothing in this movie at all. Simon Pegg's another side character who is not as funny as he was in the previous Mission Impossible movies, especially Rogue Nation. They constantly do this thing where there could be consequences. They could have killed Ving Rhames, but they didn't. No consequences. Henry Cavill, Hammer character, keeps screwing up a mission, but nothing. It's all good. Even Tom Cruise in this movie, the script says, oh yeah, you know, there's no real plot here. There's nothing going on. This is just an action set piece movie. You watch it for the set pieces. Who cares about this stinking story? It's stupid. And then for the reason why that is, I don't know. But to me, as I'm watching this movie, it is boring. I don't care. The action sequences are exciting, and I'm glad Tom Cruise is doing his thing, and the ending of the movie is the most exciting part. But then I'm just like, by the end, I'm burnt out on Mission Impossible. They should have just called this Mission Impossible Maximum Overdrive, because Fallout makes no sense. Then one last thing I want to say is you got the villain in here who's showcasing all of these nice karate moves, but yet he didn't do this in the previous movie. I will commend the movie for this. I always wanted to see a movie like James Bond. I always wanted to see them go up against someone who's their equal and get into a legit fist fight. And they did that in this movie, but then the climax to it was just really goofy and cheesy, and it reminded me of the ending of Cliffhanger, and I didn't like it. Overall, I give it a solid C. I think Mission Impossible Fallout is a good movie if you want to see just action set pieces and Tom Cruise being a badass, and the directing is really good, choreography's good, and that's pretty much it. The story's boring, and then the continuous things happen to where they could have played it up on like, yeah, Tom Cruise has to do bad things in order to get the job done, and you know, he certain things happen that screw up the mission to where they have to come up with a new plan. And all these things present themselves, but they don't pull the trigger on these things. Like, it's all like, oh, the planet is going to be ruined because, you know, something bad happened. And then it's like, no, it's all good. Even though something got screwed up, we're still going straight along our path. And it just continuously happens in this movie towards just set piece, set piece. It's like set up, set piece, set up, set piece. And it just goes on and on. I'm just like really bored with it. I'm done with Mission Impossible. I'm done. That's all I have to say. So as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.